the police. The reason every black person immediately knows when their taillight goes out. Very helpful. People are always complaining about getting pulled over by the police. But the surprising truth is that a lot of the time, the police don't want to be pulling you over either. So then, if they don't want to do it, why are they doing it? Well, let's find out in another installment of If You Don't Know, Now You Know. Police give people tickets for all sorts of reasons. Maybe they caught you speeding, or maybe you ran a stop sign, or maybe they're lonely and they just want someone to pull their gun on. But it turns out there's another reason that people keep getting pulled over by the cops. And it's a dirty little secret called the quota system.
A lot of police stops happen every year, 20 million of them, and many of those stops, millions of those stops, have nothing to do with traffic safety.
It's being called a quota culture. Officers are being pressured to give traffic tickets, forced to meet certain monetary requirements.
Ticket quotas are illegal in several states, including New York, Illinois, California, and Florida. But even former law enforcement officials will tell you they still exist.
Commanders asking troopers to write a minimum of 60 traffic violations a month. On multiple documents, it says this is not a quota.
It's morning rush hour, and you are watching a Chicago police officer driving the wrong way down busy streets, driving in the direct path of oncoming motorists, even with no emergency lights, and cutting people off without warning. The cop behind the wheel isn't chasing a fleeing suspect. She's trying to beat motorists to their parked cars before 7 a.m. so she can quickly write as many tickets as possible.
Wow. Did you see that cop? That was so dangerous. People, other than my Uber Eats driver, nobody should ever drive the wrong way down a street. Because it isn't just dangerous, it's petty as hell. I mean, at least when Vin Diesel drives like this, it's to save his family. This cop is out there like,
there's only one thing I'm willing to die for in this world, issuing $30 parking tickets.
Now, the quota system is technically illegal in multiple states, including Florida. And you know if Florida says something is illegal, then it's really bad. I mean, that's the only state that lets you order a margarita with meth on the rim, which is very tasty, by the way. But despite being illegal, quotas are still unofficially a big thing in police departments across the country. So you may be asking, why are police departments so horny for handing out tickets? Well, it turns out it's for the same reason that everything happens in America: money.
Many cities balance their budgets in part based on things that people do wrong.
Anywhere between $5 to $7 billion are made every year from known speed traps, arbitrarily low speed limits with heavy traffic enforcement designed to generate ticket revenue.
Nearly 100 Georgia cities relying on ticket money to fund at least 10% of their annual revenues.
All over Colorado, towns that cite so many drivers, the cash flow makes up a huge chunk of their budgets. None at 40%, Morrison at 52%, Mountain View 53%.
Washington, D.C. had issued $1 billion in parking tickets and traffic tickets in over a 3-year period.
Rolling down this 2-mile stretch of Interstate 295 in Hopewell, Virginia, you'll see why it's dubbed the $1 Million Mile. For years, Hopewell has used this sliver of highway that runs not through but along the town's border as its personal cash register. Last year, Hopewell collected $1.8 million from speeding tickets. Traffic experts say there's no overwhelming safety issue on that stretch of interstate.
Yeah. It turns out speeding tickets are a lot like uploading pictures of your feet to the internet. It brings in a surprisingly large amount of money. And when I learned about this, it really changed how I view reckless driving, because now when I see somebody driving 80 in a school zone, I think, wow, man, that person really likes to give back to the community. That's really impressive. And when you consider that some of these towns are making basically their entire budget off of these tickets, it finally gives us a good answer to that first question that cops always ask. Sir, do you know why I pulled you over? Yeah, because your town is broke as f***. You guys should try that with the cops. Let me know how it goes. But congrats to these towns. I mean, I guess they found a way to squeeze money out of the people who made the unforgivable mistake of driving. It's not just about safety. It's about making the money. But it turns out the cops responsible for handing out all of these tickets, they aren't celebrating, because the truth is they would rather be doing anything else.
Most police officers don't want to be handing out tickets all day long.
They're saying this is not why we got into policing. We got into policing not so that we could write a certain number of tickets and raise a certain amount of revenue, but we got into policing to protect and serve.
No trooper or officer's hand should be forced to write a certain amount of summonses.
You wind up with less confidence in your local law enforcement agency. You deteriorate the relationship between your citizens and your police department.
State police chief says safety of his citizens is at risk because the city wants him to focus more on issuing more traffic tickets than investigating crimes.
The problem is if you're going to write that many tickets, it's going to take your whole day. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to run a police department.
That's right. These cops didn't get into policing because they wanted to ticket people. They got into it so that every few months they could dramatically throw their badge and gun onto a chief's desk. Well, if the mayor doesn't think this case is worth pursuing, then I'll solve it myself. I'll find the bastard who stole my leftovers from the office fridge. Yeah, seriously though, there are a lot of police out there who would much rather spend their time actually making their community safer. And they know that ticketing random people every day doesn't actually do that. I mean, Batman would never catch the Joker if people kept turning on the bat signal because someone parked in a handicap spot. And you might think, well, okay, if the police don't want to write as many tickets, then they just shouldn't do it. These are the police, right? Don't they do whatever they want? And yes, that's usually the case. But when it comes to these quotas, if individual cops don't play ball, it's their ass that's on the line.
The public doesn't often see how quotas are enforced in the background. They're enforced on the backs of police officers.
In this email to state troopers in Williamsburg, a supervisor tells his team 4 to 10 tickets a week is unacceptable. He says the so-called enforcement numbers are pitiful and hinted possible lower evaluations.
Some Richardson police officers say every week the number of tickets they write is posted for everyone on their shift to see, and there's an average given. If an officer falls below the average number of citations, they suffer the consequences.
I was threatened the last week that if I don't get my numbers up, then a series of punishments will happen.
If you didn't get the number of tickets you wanted, if you didn't get the 100 contacts, you get mandatory overtime, you get written up.
A supervisor last year telling his officers that the bottom 2 performers would drive a pool car, meaning a clunker. This other officer getting his radar gun taken away for not writing enough tickets.
That's how hard they pressure the cops. If you don't write enough tickets, they'll even take away your radar gun, which means you have to calculate a car's speed in your head. 150? It goes to show you the quota system isn't just unfair to citizens, it's unfair to the police too. And the worst part is, the cops can't even protest this because every time they try, they just beat themselves up out of habit. And here's the really important thing about the quota system, is that no one likes it. Everyone. The police don't like it. The police unions don't like it, liberals don't like it, Black Lives Matter doesn't like it, minorities, they all want the system gone. It's one of those rare areas in life where everyone wants the same reform. Like how we all agree that we shouldn't have to sign the credit card machine when we use touchless paying. I mean, it's touchless. Why am I grabbing the same plastic pen that everyone else in the CVS just rubbed with their sweaty hands? The system is broken! And yet, as long as it keeps making money for these cities, the quota system isn't going anywhere. Unless there's another way for the police to make money. And I think we may have found it.
Americans are tired of ticket quotas that get them pulled over and shot. Isn't there a better way for police to make money for our chronically underfunded cities? Introducing Uber Blue, the new rideshare app that takes you to your destination in a police cruiser. Our cruisers have a comfortable back seat and can legally run red lights, stop signs, and elementary school crossings. And with Uber Blue Pool, you can pay less if you share your ride with a hardened criminal being sent to lockup. At Uber Blue, safety is paramount, and we're proud to announce that 92% of our rides do not end with the passenger being savagely beaten by the police.
Still beats taking the bus.
What are you waiting for? Download Uber Blue now and use code BlueRidesMatter for 20% off your first trip. Uber Blue. You have the right to remain comfortable.
Oh, my ride's here.
Wait, I didn't ask for a ride.